shrinking. We are shrinking. There are no more secrets. There are no two people in this world that aren't connected or can't be connected in a very, very in a very easy way. All right. And it'll happen extremely rapidly. It'll happen extremely fast. Connections happen really, really fast nowadays. That's probably the best way for me to say it. All right. Nowadays, making a connection is really, really easy. All it takes is to shoot a text or give out some social media, start following whatever it is, shoot a DM. Everything's happening so fast that it is so imperative that your attitude is right. Because, like I said at the beginning, your attitude is going to determine your altitude. I've also heard it said where an attitude of gratitude is going to determine your altitude. Got me? So again, I don't know if where you're listening to this from, but if you haven't heard that phrase before, figure out a way to jot it down. Your attitude determines your altitude. Here's a couple examples of why it's important, or what I mean when I say your attitude determines your altitude. All right. So today I'm going to talk to you about two scenarios, two people that I'm going to talk to you about how to have the correct attitude in life. All right, because some shitty things are gonna happen. Things are not gonna go as planned. Things are not gonna go as the way you want to. But having the right attitude towards those things is everything. It's everything. All right. And then I'm gonna I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about why it's important to have or I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the wrong way to do it. All right, I'm going to use some examples about why certain ways of looking at things are the wrong way of doing it. All right. So first of all, let me just before I go forward, let me give you and paint the picture for you. And we're talking about now the right way, having the right attitude in life. And I could have pulled a lot of different examples, but today what's on my mind, because I just recently, and when you listen to this, your football season will be in the full swing of things. And again, you listeners, you regular listeners, I pull a lot of examples from the football world. I played, I scouted, I coached at the high school level. Football is my thing. Football is what taught me the game of life. And no matter what level it is, no matter where it is being played right now, the lessons and the things that are happening for young men, the growth and development that is happening for young men because they're participating in this great game of football are things that you just will never understand unless you play this game. All right. So I posted a picture of me when I played ball, and I talked a little bit about how in the post, so you guys can go check it out. In the post, I spoke a little bit about how I went from a Division II school to a Division I school, and I tore my ACL, and it was just really not likely when I tore my ACL from a Division II school that I was going to end up at this Division I program. So I posted it, and one of my former players from when I was at Blake High School, he left a comment on it. So his name is Esty. Shout out to Esty, man. Hope you're doing well. But anyway, he commented on the picture, and it got me thinking about some of my best moments with him. I only coached him for one season, and that year we went 0-10. No bullshit. We went 0-10. However, we have a bond, we have a friendship, we have something special between he and I and all the seniors, everyone that played on that team, because it's like I said at the beginning, this game molds men. This game teaches life. And there was something I learned from him. There was more than just something. There was tons of things. And if I was to sit there and talk about all the great things, the kind of leader that SD was, again, it's going to require an episode all on its own. But anyway, because he left a comment, not too many people ever really comment on my stuff, just so you guys know. Because he left a comment, it got me thinking about something that he did and something that he said during that season that really struck. I was 26 around 26, 27 years old. No, 26 when I coached that team. Still extremely, extremely young to be a high school football coach. So I was really close to the players, and the way Coach Anderson ran his programs, we really got really close to the players because we wanted to be mentors to them. We wanted to be more than just football coaches. We wanted them to really see and be some positive male influences because a lot of them didn't have that. I'll be 100 with you. A lot of them did not have positive male influences in their life. So we got to be that, we got to fill that void for them. All right. So the name of the school, like I mentioned, was UB Blake High School in Silver Spring, Maryland. And there was a huge rival game that year. Springbrook. It's actually the school that my sister went to, right? Springbrook High School. And Blake and Springbrook was a very evenly matched game. Very evenly matched teams. They both were far, far, far from powerhouse football teams, but they were located like maybe 2 miles away from each other. All the friends knew each other. It was a big, big rivalry during that time. So we played them, Blake High School. We played Springbrook at Blake my first year as a high school coach. And that was the first game. And in fact, it was the first game I've ever coached as a high school football coach. Right. So I was taking in all the lessons. It was a Friday night and I was taking it all in, man. It was bringing back memories from when I played because this is my hometown of Silver Spring. It was so much I was taking in. And I was taking it so much, the entire experience. All right. Long story short, we lost the game. But it wasn't just any game. It was a really close game. And if I'm not mistaken, I do think the game went into overtime. And I used to watch the game up in the press box and I used to see everything. I used to just kind of take everything in. And I can remember seeing Esty on the field. He's pumping up the crowd. He's yelling. He's doing everything in his power to give us the edge and to get that win. And we didn't win. We came up short that night. All right. And this was late into the night. The game started at 7 p.m. And the game was so long because yes, like I said, it went into overtime and it was just a really late night. We didn't get in probably until 11, close to 12 o'clock. And everyone was tired, hard fought game, and we lost. And it was just no one wanted to feel like being around. All right. I mean, no one felt like being around. Esty, and this is towards the end of the night, Esty, while everyone's tired, Esty, the last thing he says to us as coaches, right? He walks in and he gives all the coaches a fist pump and he goes, hey, and his voice, he had lost his voice. He couldn't even speak. He goes, hey, we gonna just, chalk this one up and we gonna look forward to PB next week because PB, Paint Branch, was another one of our rival schools. And, we played them the next week. You see what I'm saying, teammates? All right, that's exactly where I want to cut it, right there. We're just gonna cut right there. He said we just gonna look forward to PB, and he had the right what attitude. He had the right attitude. So even though we lost the next week, even though we went 0-10, there was a certain attitude that he had that I want every last one of you to have because it's so important. Yeah, we lost. Yeah, we busted our ass and we came up short. So what? My mentality is, hey, next week we on. Yeah, I'm tired. Yeah. It was just an unfortunate situation that we didn't come out with the win. However, my attitude at the end of the night, when it's all said and done and the dust is settled and my adrenaline is down, is just say, all right, we got to look forward to next week. And we don't even have, this was an 18-year-old kid. We as adults, and again, I'm not sure who I'm speaking to. If you feel a certain way when I'm talking like this, it's because you need to develop that attitude. You need to develop the attitude of when things don't go your way, when things don't happen a certain way, you have to have that attitude of, oh, we're going to move on. All right, so that was the example. That's where I probably should have said this one first, second, and the next one I'm getting ready to say should have probably said that first. But whatever it is, you guys get the point. All right, now that's a positive. That's a great way. It's a great attitude to have. Here's the attitude not to have. At my old job, I had two colleagues. One was Pablo, the other one was Ira. And you guys have heard me, again, regular listeners, you guys have heard me speak highly about those two guys. I spoke highly about those two guys because of the attitude and the mentality I had. Not because I necessarily or particularly like what those two stood for. Because now that I'm not around them anymore and I don't have to necessarily be politically correct when I know they're not going to listen to anything I do, so I don't really give a shit anymore. I can tell you they had the exact opposite attitude as Esty. Exact opposite. And I'm telling you this because I want to warn you guys. In many ways, it is so important that you get rid of. You just got to cleanse yourself of people like this when it comes time to growth. All right, so I'll give you an example. Ira was the owner of the 9 round in which I was a trainer of for over 4 years. I was the head trainer for over 4 years, and I was and Ira was the owner there. And one of the things, as I've mentioned in the past, that I learned from him is just how to own a franchise, how to do certain, how to run a franchise. He bought into the franchise. So because I want to franchise the Make Your Move youth centers, there was a lot of lessons, a lot of things I picked up that were extremely valuable to me. Now, Pablo was the other trainer that was there full time, there regularly. And one of the big thing that I picked up from him was learning how to hold mitts, learning how to teach people how to throw a jab, across, uppercut, hook cross, jab, jab, cross. And if you've read my book, Make Your Move, you would hear me speak, and I spoke very highly about him particularly because of what he taught me. But again, it was my attitude. It's not because they wanted to actually make a difference. And that's where I got to get you to. All right, that's where I got to get you to. Without the Estes of the world, I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of the Iras and Pablos, the ones who had the wrong attitude. Now, why do I say they had the wrong attitude? Why do I say that like, why do I get so fired up? I mean, anyone who talks and anyone who knows me knew me during that time. No, my eye starts twitching. They make me cringe when it comes to their work habits. They really, really do. First of all right, there were times, one time in particular, when I was in college, my freshman year in college, when I was at Carson Newman, I remember Coach Sparks, the late, great Coach Sparks. He had this thing, we were the Carson Newman Eagles, and he would call it Eagle time. Whenever it's time to show up to meetings, we had to be there 5 o'clock Eagle time, which meant 4:40, 4:55, 5 minutes early. And there was a time where me and my roommate, we actually showed up to a meeting 3 minutes early, and we got yelled at. All right. I remember being yelled at for not being early enough to meetings when I played this game. Pablo, when he and I worked together at 9 round, would show up late every fucking morning. Every morning, no questions asked, he would show up late. Unless one of the members asked him to be there at a certain time, and then he'd show up on time. And one time actually, he actually clocked in and got paid when he wasn't supposed to be there. And Ira was there, who's the owner, didn't say a fucking word. That's how ridiculous it was. That's how much they make me cringe. So just to give you some perspective on how much they made me cringe. So there's a lot more coming when it comes to Ira and Pablo on this show, because they taught me so much, and there were so many things to pull from it that I want to keep you guys for. Again, great guys, do great work for the most part. I mean, I'm not angry at them because of anything personal. I'm just more so very frustrated because of the work habits. And in order for me to teach you guys this lesson, in order for me to continue to do this podcast, there are going to be some things that are said about certain people that they're going to be taken the wrong way. But fuck it, who gives a shit? It's like Jay-Z said, a closed mouth does not get fed. But anyway, there had a time in which it was all three of us. No, it was me, Ira, Pablo in the gym. And then one of their favorite members, her name was, I won't, for sake of confidentiality, I won't put her real name out there, but just know we called her Beastie. All right. It was all four of us, it was just us four in the gym. And Beastie became like a family member at this gym. She was there every day, worked hard. You saw, the confidence and all these things have just happened for her because of this gym. And she was so appreciative of all three of us. She really was. And again, shouts out to her. Hope you're doing well. If you're listening, you're probably not, because you like some of the other members of Team Pablo. But fuck it, I don't give a shit. There had a time in which, and this was while I was in the process of learning how to hold mitts. I was in the process of learning how to teach people their own combos: jab, cross, uppercut, hook, cross, jab, jab, cross, uppercut, hook, cross. I was learning how to do that, how to add that service, because I didn't know how to do it. Again, if it wasn't for Pablo, I would not know how to do that. And that's become a very crucial skill to build my company and build my brand and build the things I'm trying to do. All right. So as I was developing, and I'd say at this point I was about I was doing it 90% well. I was doing it just as good as him, and I was, the Iron Pablo can see how I was developing. Not only Iron Pablo, but the members. Like, man, I was one, now he knows how to do this and this, that, and the third. And I was really excited because now if Pablo was late or if he wasn't there, something happened, and the members came in, that was gonna miss a beat. That didn't mean that they can't do pad drills because Aswan's there. That is what I was very excited about. So I just blurred out. I was like, yeah, just like Pablo now. Got it. And I said it out loud. And Ira jumps in the conversation and says, I don't need you to be Pablo. I just need you to be Aswan. That's what makes you I don't need you. I mean, if you can see how angry and how much he jumped down my throat because I learned a new skill and I was developing and I created something that's going to take me to the next level. You should see how angry he got. Like, to the point where like, if I could have kept the argument going, but I just shut up. I just went by my bench that I used to sit down at, and I just said, all right, cool. You know what? I'll live to tell this story another day. Right now, it's his gym. I got to respect his gym. I'm not going to go back and forth with him. I'm going to say, cool, I'll turn the other cheek. But teammates, I'm telling you that story because you may be dealing with a situation. You may be in a situation, and this is why, again, Blake High School, me coaching at Blake High School was free. I did it for $0. $0. 9 round at one point was my only source of income. It was making me money. So the way I had to continue to channel that was to say, okay, I got to think back to the Estes of the world. I got to think back to the Estes of the world. In this moment, while I'm sort of being yelled at, or I'm having to deal with Ira telling me or implying that it's a bad thing that I learned pad drill, and not even having the decency to say I'm proud of you or thank you for learning pad drill, because you're right, there may be a situation in which Pablo can't make it to work, and it's great that you know how to do it too. Not even saying anything like that. His initial reaction was, "Oh, I don't need you to be Pablo. I just need you to be honest. I need you to be," and have this back and forth with me while Beastie is there, because Beastie's one of their favorites, and they want to kind of show off. They want to be macho in front of Beastie. If I didn't have those moments with Esty, if I didn't have those moments, I would have never gotten through it. Well, actually, now that I'm telling the story, it's probably right. It's probably better that I did tell the story about Esty the right way first. So again, listeners, appreciate you kind of bearing with me on that one. But I start these shows and I have certain stories I want to tell. I never know. This is, by the way, this is all impromptu stuff. I don't have notes. I don't do anything. There's just certain stories that I know will stick with you because stories sell. And when you have the right story, when you tell that right story, I know it resonates with you guys in many ways. So as I was getting ready to do this recording, I knew I was gonna tell a certain stories because I wanted to give you guys a two-way street. So that's what I'm doing. Again, I'm explaining myself too much, but hey, whatever. That's what goes on. You guys have heard from me. This is the Move Swiftly podcast, and this is what we do. All right. So anyway, back to your attitude and your altitude. When you have the attitude that Esty had, when you have that mentality, there's no telling where you're gonna go in life. All right. There's no telling who you're gonna touch. He didn't expect to touch me the way he did 4 or 5 years down the line when I'm dealing with employees and I'm dealing with a owner, a boss, I should say, that I really don't connect well with, that I really don't vibe well with. Him doing that for me allowed me to just kind of take it and relax and say, hey, there's better out there for you. Learn what you can, shut up, do your job, and go to the next level. And now I'm in a position where I can tell the story and teach and allow you all, the listeners, to understand that, hey, you may be in the same situation and you may be way more stuck in a situation than I was with Ira and Pablo. Trust me, it really wasn't that bad. I might be, and many times I exaggerate because I'm who I am, but I could have been stuck with them. I could have been stuck with those two as employees and I would have been really fucked, right? But I wasn't. And how do I arrive at that conclusion? How do I arrive at that point? Is because of the volunteer work I had done previously, the being around positivity, the understanding that this isn't the end of the road for Aswan. 9 Round is not going to be where Aswan ends. Dealing with the Ira and the Pablos of the world are not going to be my final state. There's so much more for Aswan. Just like for you guys who are still listening, you guys who continue to listen and who have been in situations where you can't stand your employer or the co-workers around your situation, you know you can do it. Just put your head down and work. But you got to get yourself around younger people that have the right mentality. Because what you're hearing, what you're listening to, who you're listening to is a person who did that very thing. I was able to overcome a lot of the things in life, a lot of the people that are always like that crabs in a bucket mentality, who are always trying to pull me back. I was able to overcome a lot of that shit because of the volunteer work. All right. Again, this is just the beginning. There's a lot of different stuff. Again, when I first started this podcast, I was working there still, and I still had to be very politically correct when I spoke about him. And I was not only did I have to be politically correct, I was trying to be politically correct because I saw at the time I saw a great future between myself and 9 Round. But now that it's been 5 months since I've been there, and I haven't heard from either one of them. In fact, Pablo, one of the things he told me, what he put on my post, my farewell post, is he told me to go fuck off. That was the last thing he said to me on social media. Put that on social media. I haven't heard from Ira, the owner of 9 Round, of all we've been through. I haven't gotten a text from him saying, hey, hope all is well. I'm not up here complaining. I'm not sitting up here complaining about it. I'm just putting it out there to understand these are the realities of being in business. And when you say you want to go to the next level, the people who aren't trying to go to a next level in life are going to run away. I didn't tell you that because I'm taking it personally. I'm telling you that because I'm talking to someone who wants to be a success. And just like I always tell you, if you don't want to be a success, go find another fucking show to listen to. If you want to be a success, then the people who aren't trying to go to the next level are going to do exactly what Ira and Pablo did, and they're going to just run and scatter and go find their place to hide, while you continue to keep growing and keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. So that's my message for you that's my message for you today, is to keep growing and 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 keep on growing. Just keep on growing. And those people who don't have the right attitude will find a way to get away from you. Will find a way to do something. They'll say something. They'll shoot a text. They'll make up some excuse. They'll say whatever it is they have to say to make it so they don't have to work as hard as you and grind as hard as you. All right. So again, I'll say it one more time before I officially close. Your attitude determines your altitude. Fellow teammates, continue to keep growing, continue to get better. Fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly, and we will talk more soon.